Support WrestleTalk!
Click the thumbs up.
Is The Miz versus Daniel Bryan the best feud in WWE right now? I am Luke Owen, and this is El Fakador Laurie Blake. Welcome to the WrestleRamble edition, the SmackDown Live review edition of WrestleRamble. You can tell I don't usually do the intro.
We got there, though.
We got there in the end. Thankfully, we got there in the end. So, yeah, SmackDown Live was last night. It's the go-home edition before SummerSlam this coming Sunday. And the show was really built around Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. Now, the last few weeks have been The Miz, quote, on the set of Miz and Mrs., because that's how reality TV shows are made.
Upon the set of his life.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Or he's been throwing babies at him, or he's been throwing babies up on screens, like little pictures of crying babies on screen.
Yeah, a lovely montage.
Yeah, or that he's been cutting the same promo. But in this week, they did something different. What they did is they recapped this 8-year feud that we've had between them, starting in the old version of NXT back in 2010, leading up to now. And they split this across 3 different videos. And it just further proves that WWE watches this show and takes the ideas that Ollie and I have and put them on screen. Because we were saying last week, why didn't they just do video packages that kind of like broke down the individual moments of their feud? Because I said this in the SmackDown review, because I thought these were awesome. I thought these were really good and really effective in building them.
They were great.
So much better than all of the other nonsense they've done. Why they didn't spread this across multiple episodes and do more of them. Because it really does. This video essentially said, like, this feud boils down to 3 moments. NXT, talking smack, Daniel Bryan's back. And I'm like, there's so much more other ones. SummerSlam 2010, when Daniel Bryan interrupted, The Miz thought he was going to be in the main event, and Daniel Bryan stole his spotlight. Bryan won his first belt off of The Miz. There's all these little moments you could really pick out from the two of them that you could have built more videos around. But I thought the videos were awesome.
The videos were, they could have, what they should have done, like you said, is spread it out and peppered it through multiple episodes. Then still had, I think you could have still had a lot of the moments that they've had so far. It was almost like every single time they did a promo, you got all the way up to the end point, and then they just went, ah! And it's like, here's a baby! And it's like, okay, like, the baby thing works. I think fun, like, coming out with the baby carrier and Maurice and doing the whole, like, the Miz style, like, let's do a launch party for Miz and Mrs. Great idea. And then it's double cowardly, because his wife is there, and the baby. It just didn't need to be like, you didn't need to just reveal it was a fake baby. You didn't need to attack him. He could have just had Daniel Bryan come out for the confrontation, and then he could literally have
hid behind the
baby and walked out. Then you're saving the beatdown for later on. The set thing, it just didn't need to be a set. Like, they could have just gone and filmed it in the car park. Like, you know, like they could have just gone to a shop. Miz and Maurice are out shopping, and Daniel Bryan comes in and confronts The Miz while he is filming his reality show.
It's so funny, because I got a lot of complaints last week in my SmackDown review, because I keep making fun of this he's on sets, because it is nonsense, because he's quite clearly not on set.
It's absolute gubbins.
It's absolute gubbins, and I got a lot of complaints from people saying, like, oh, you're being too critical. Of course, like, they can't actually film on the set. They can't fly him in all the time. They can't fly him back to the set. My argument has always been, like, if you can't do it, then don't. Like, if it doesn't look good, don't do it that way.
But also, if it's going to take 10 seconds to do, just ask the crew of the show to do it.
Can we film it here?
Yeah. Can you not just film this thing and send it, and then we'll pay some money? Like, WWE is not bereft of cash. Like, you know?
Like, and it looks so rubbish with him being like, it's just a backdrop with the logo there, because that's how reality TV shows work. And it's like, well, it just looks naff. And so if it's going to look naff, then don't do it, because it's so distracting. Oh, you just need to be in the moment. You need to, let go of your critical mind. It looks ridiculous. But
it seems dumb to then be like, the show is on directly afterwards, so we know what it looks like. Yeah. It's like, if we're playing in the world where these two things exist and they reference each other, they should reference each other properly. But
anyway, so I thought these videos were really, really effective. And I loved the first one with the NXT recap.
That was very good.
It's not just showing the NXT footage, which works so well. It really tells us a really lovely story. You got these talking heads between Bryan and Miz, which I think were the only things I didn't particularly like, because they were very scripted. Like, it wasn't like them literally commenting on things as if it was an interview. It was like, here is your script, now you must repeat what we have written for you.
Yeah, they got much better towards the end,
as
both guys got angry.
Yeah.
Which is obviously what it was building towards, and that's why it had to be so carefully scripted. But it would have been nice, to just, like, Daniel Bryan's got a lot of opinions, and it would be quite nice to let him have them kind of freely.
Yeah, and Miz can quite easily just say, okay, can you just say these things about Daniel Bryan?
Yeah.
Like, cool, away I go. Give me 5 minutes, like,
Yeah.
and I can give you 15. Like, he's really, really good at that. So it was a bit scripted and a bit hokey, but like the footage and everything, the comments that they were making, I loved some of the stuff that that Bryan was saying in this, because they were talking about how like Daniel Bryan had been in the indie scene for 10 plus years at this point. They showed footage of him in the indies, and he was like, and I was the rookie to Miz's pro, and Miz is there going like, I've been in WWE for 5 years at this point, so I was a real seasoned veteran. It was like a lovely juxtaposition.
And he was multiple champions at the time as well. And then he went through the whole bit where, like you're saying, Bryan left NXT like 0 for 10.
Yep,
like,
he lost all 10 of his matches.
He didn't have a win, and that's why he should have listened to his veteran.
Yeah.
And then Bryan counters that, saying that when I did join WWE though, you were my first win.
Yeah, exactly. My first win was against you on Raw. And I thought it was a really nice touch. And he ends with this lovely line where he's like, I didn't need The Miz, but The Miz needed me. And that's a really, really nice touch. I thought this was really, really awesome. And it's great seeing those old clips of NXT.
Yeah, I love the recap, though, where they had to be like, NXT was quite different back in the day.
It was. It's shown all the awful stuff. They're like carrying kegs and stuff, trying to sell programs and all the other nonsense they did on that show. But this really did take up a large portion of SmackDown, because you then got a match. Then you got the second of these, which was recapping that Talking Smack angle. And this, boy, how did this make me miss Talking Smack. What a great show Talking Smack was. And like that show really did fuel a lot more interest back into this feud. Because you had, obviously, like, Daniel Bryan and Miz have always been at each other's throats while they were on the roster together. But this just almost reignited it, and it sparked so much conversation of, like, is Daniel Bryan going to return to the ring?
Yeah.
Because this really felt like it was a promo to set up a program.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing, is like, so that kind of like being able to build it out of a talk show when you've got so many good talkers as well.
Yeah.
Like the SmackDown roster is full of, or at the time especially, was full of, like when Kevin Owens was there, it was full of people who were great on the mic and great off the cuff, and like that is what that show was entirely designed for, and that's why you can build stuff like that straight out of it.
Yeah, it was really cool. They recount how both men had won the top title. Miz was WWE champion. Daniel Bryan main evented WrestleMania, and he won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at that point. And I actually thought this one ended up being just better than the last one. It was really cool because they talked about how Bryan had to retire. It was the hardest thing he'd ever done. But
he knew his style would catch up with him, but he couldn't go out there and half-ass it. It was,
yeah, exactly. Because he always mocks Miz for being soft. Yeah. Calling him a coward in the ring,
and Miz says like, I've been wrestling for this long and I've never been injured because I go out there and I play it safe. Or,
which is really, really interesting. Yeah, and it was talking about how he became SmackDown GM and started abusing his power, which led to this Talking Smack promo. And if you've never seen this Talking Smack promo, like, go out of your way to watch it, because it's the best work Miz has ever done in this company. He was 100% unscripted, and he just went off on one, and it really felt like years of pent-up frustration about people constantly telling him, you do realise you're not as good as Daniel Bryan.
Yes, yeah.
And just all these years of frustration, and it just pours out of him. And the way Daniel Bryan sort of like just doesn't say anything, he gets up and he walks away. Really, really awesome. And the real key to this video, this second video for me, was that, because Miz kept saying to him, like, well, why don't you quit? If you want to wrestle so bad, why don't you quit? And Bryan says in his talking headpiece, I wanted to quit. Like, I wanted to walk away from the company, but I made a promise to Vince McMahon that I would see out my contract. And that added a real level of realism that I think this feud has been missing. And this feud really needed to feel real. Like, 'cause that's the sort of line there where you're like, I don't know how much of that is true or how much of that is just, kayfabing it. And that's really awesome. That's really awesome for a feud in 2018. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's nice to actually be like, I no longer see where the lines are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's blurring those lines. And then the last one was all about Bryan's return to the ring, about him making the announcement for WrestleMania.
I thought to come back because I love wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't find a way to live without it, all that kind of stuff. All the heartwarming stuff. But that was nice. It was like I think the opening of that package where he comes back to the ring and he says, I've been cleared. It got me again. I was like,
it did, yeah. Yeah, it really.
Daniel Bryan
tugging at those heartstrings once again, and he talks about how he brought Miz across to SmackDown. That was his last command as GM before he stepped down. And then Miz cuts this awesome promo on the end of Daniel Bryan, and they're both looking into the camera and just shouting down about what they're going to do to each other at SummerSlam. This was this was such a good go-home angle, or go-home video packages to hype you up for that SummerSlam match. This did so much more for my interest in this match than anything they've done previous to this.
Yes, yeah.
In the last, month or so. I thought these were really, really awesome. But the question is, at the top of the, we'll get to it eventually, is it the best feud in WWE at the moment?
Main roster, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's been given the time is the other thing. I think there were 3 packages this week about this. How many of the previous packages also main evented SmackDowns, like the launch party thing did? I felt like that, and then there are other things that will be given like
semi-main or something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
then a lot of their other stuff has been given high billing, either finishing sort of the first half or coming just before the main event. So like it feels like this is really important. This is more build than AJ and Samoa Joe. You have to think as well.
Absolutely, it is.
They're obviously and that's the weird thing about this is like it feels like this cannot just end at SummerSlam as well. Like this is the other thing about it. 8 years has been building to this one match.
Yeah,
this is going to be like going on. I think at least till WrestleMania.
Yeah, Could they carry this on? I mean, Daniel Bryan did say in that Gorilla Position interview, which is a really good interview, where he was like, "I don't trust WWE to book that storyline for that long."
Yes,
but it is the sort of feud that because you have got those 8 years to play with, and it is a real as soon as Bryan was cleared, that was the match people were talking about.
Yes, yeah.
Can't wait for them to do Miz versus Bryan. That. You could still extend this out, but knowing WWE, it'll be like they'll do it again at Hell in a Cell, and then they'll do it again at whatever the pay-per-view is after that, which I think is Survivor. It's not Survivor Series. There's one before Survivor Series, I think.
Well, what's the stupid thing is because what's so good about this feud is because it's gone on so long,
Evolution?
And it hasn't always been like at the forefront of what both guys are doing. It can just go away and come back again,
and
everyone will be like, "Oh, like it." And that's the thing,
picking this up again.
Yeah, it's not like separate feuds that everyone's having. This is one feud that just goes on forever. I think they're like mortal enemies at this point. I think.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's for me personally, it's not the feud I'm most interested in going into SummerSlam.
What is? I
think I'm more into Seth and Dolph, only because through the Dean return, I'm really intrigued by that, and I really like Drew McIntyre's, and I'm very intrigued by the Roman Brock match. At SummerSlam, very, very intrigued. The final angle didn't do a lot for me, but I thought all the stuff they did previous to that I thought was really, really good, and I'm really into Alexa Bliss, Ronda Rousey, and where that's going to go. So I don't know if I'd go as far as say it's the best. In the last month, I don't think it's been the best booked feud in WWE, but I would say it's probably the best booked feud on SmackDown. Maybe, I don't know, I quite like the women's match, but maybe I think it's the best booked feud on SmackDown. Certainly better than AJ Joe.
Which let itself down immensely this week.
It is. But at the same time, we'll come on to that. But at the same time of saying all that, these video packages did make me think like this is definitely the best feud that WWE have right now because there's so much drama and stuff you can pull from. I just wish they'd extrapolated more from this week than they did just the other nonsense. And Ollie said this before on the show, and I completely agree with him that Miz and Mrs. really has hurt this feud. Because it felt like all the promos they were doing were not hyping the SummerSlam match. They were hyping the TV show that was coming up in the USA Network.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was more playing into that than it was the match. And that's what I think is where this feud it's been hurt a little bit by Miz and Mrs.
Yeah, they could have hidden it a bit better. It couldn't have been so obvious, it's on after this. You can watch it after this?
But let's crack on and we'll talk about the rest of SmackDown Live. It's a SmackDown review, Maggle. I love it. We got us a flying Uso. So SmackDown Live opened with the 3 women of their SummerSlam Triple Threat Women's Championship match coming down to the ring to stand in a row because that's how natural people stand when they're talking to each other. And
facing the hard cap. That's how I always stand.
Right, exactly. And it was. And in fairness, a lot of people say like, "Well, you guys sit next to each other in a row." That's because I can touch the wall.
Yeah, we don't have enough space.
No, there's not enough space for me to do it.
We've also only got one camera.
We've only got one. There's a one camera setup. It more or less could be filmed in a bedroom. But Carmella's talking about how she feels like she's been picked on by Paige, more or less, because she's been put into an unfair situation here. She shouldn't have to face off against 2 challengers for her championship, and she's always thinks it's ridiculous that they're doing this face-to-face scenario in the first place. And she calls herself a great champion, which isn't true at all.
No.
But then, then she kind of switches around and starts to talk to Becky and say, you don't have a chance at winning in this match.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've beaten Charlotte twice, and I've beaten Asuka twice. She won Hell in a Cell. She's a multi-time champion. She's won all these belts. You have no chance, mate.
You were the first SmackDown Women's Champion, but you only won that because Charlotte was on Raw.
Lovely. That was a really nice touch,
good.
yeah. And Becky talks about how, like, she goes, I'm going to be honest, I didn't want Charlotte in this match, but that's only because Charlotte is really, really good, which I thought was a nice little wrinkle in there. It's almost like that backhanded compliments, really, is that, you know, yeah, I mean, it's nice for you to be in this match, but I don't want you here.
Yeah, it'd be much better if you weren't.
Yeah, and she was like,
with all your really good moves and stuff.
I've been thinking about, like, the one-on-one fight and things like that. But for me, Charlotte had the best line in this whole thing, where she started cutting this promo on, and we knock Charlotte's promos a lot, quite rightly so. She's not a great promo, but she had a money line in this, where she's talking about Carmella, and she's like, "You need to stop lying. You are not on the same level as everyone else in this division."
Yep.
Which again shows that they don't really know what this Carmella character is.
Because you had to call out Ellsworth.
Yeah,
you can't hang with the rest of the roster.
Yeah, but again, which sort of does make sense because Charlotte and Carmella has gone toe to toe with Charlotte on several occasions, so I think she is on the same level as you two. I mean, those two matches, she did more or less win clean. So I think she is on the same level. But we're kind of like forgetting that. And then she had this line, and I love this, where she called her a diva living in a woman's era. That is such a money line. And if that had been Carmella's character from the start, when she won the belt, she could have been a really, really great character and really built some awesome matches out of that.
She would have just been the female Miss.
She would have been the female Miss.
Yeah.
But they didn't really know. They clearly don't really know what the Mella character is, because oftentimes she is a diva in a women's era. But as I say, oftentimes she does go toe to toe with wrestlers, and she's good. They don't really quite know what she is. But I thought that line really summed it up of what her character should be. And I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, and then Carmella just goes with it.
Yeah.
She says, well, yeah, like, look at my beauty, look at my body, look at my charisma.
Yeah.
And then, what have you got? You don't stand a chance. And Becky and Charlotte sort of look at each other like,
yeah, it's really interesting.
Sorry.
You want it because, like, Scarlett Bordeaux's doing a similar sort of character on Impact at the moment, where she's essentially saying,
smoke show.
Yeah, she's essentially saying that, like, women's wrestling is grand and all, but we really should go back to the era where, like, being sexy was what it was important to a female character, which I think is a really interesting character, by the way. But Paige comes out and she announces that we're going to have a tag team match, and thankfully, luckily, the two people she picked to have the wrestling match were the ones in their gear.
Yeah, it's quite useful.
And the one person doing the commentary was not in their gear, so it was very fortunate that Becky and Charlotte had come out in their gear for this segment.
I feel, but it fits though as well, because the idea that Becky and Charlotte are looking for actual prove themselves and to wrestle, and Carmella is coming out to do what she does best, as Paige says, talk.
Yes, yap her gums. Which led into our first match of the evening, which was Becky and Charlotte taking on Absolution, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose.
The worst bits of Absolution.
The worst bits of Absolution. And although I really like Sonya Deville, I'm a big fan of hers.
She is actually really good.
And it's really funny because, so Mella points out on commentaries, like, I didn't need James Ellsworth in order to beat Charlotte twice, which I thought was a nice little moment. But again, it proves that her character makes zero sense. Really good.
She says she was embarrassed by him falling out of the shark cage as well. I was embarrassed by that. I didn't ask him to do that.
Yeah, and she kept really just burying Byron as well, because every time Byron would say something, she was like, "There's a buzzing in my headset. I can't hear what someone's saying."
She was, "I'm done with you, Byron."
Yeah, it was great. After a while, I was like, "No, I'm just done with you, Byron." Todd Phillips brought up that Paige, Charlotte, and Becky were once a tag team together. They were once a team, and I was like, I genuinely forgot about Team PCB.
PCB.
I genuinely forgot that. That's how they made their main roster debuts.
Yes, yeah.
Very weird. Becky made to come back. So this match it wasn't really much of a match, but I thought the finish was awesome. I thought the finish was really clever and subtle, because it built off the tag match that they did last week with the Iconics, which was that Becky couldn't tap out Peyton Royce because Billie Kay interfered, and then Charlotte tagged herself in and she got the submission win. So this time Becky was ready for it, because she knocks down Mandy Rose. Sonya Deville comes in and she turns around and she knocks out Sonya Deville as well, doesn't tag in Flair, locks in the disarmer, and she gets the win. So it puts over that Becky knows she's learning of how to survive in this triple threat scenario. She doesn't need Charlotte Flair to win. I thought this was a really nice subtle, because they weren't really playing this up on commentary either.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really nice subtle way to build the SummerSlam match.
I would have loved to see them build the hot tag a bit more there, though. Like it should have been teased a bit more, and then it should have been like a bigger decision for Becky, because like while this was subtle, we did then go later on to see them talking about it. It would have been nice to like really tease the hot tag and that she's not making it and she's really struggling, and then she just has this hella comeback and suddenly she's all over it, and then she lands this
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, she becomes all Becky Balboa and straight fire and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Miz and Maurice announced that Miz and Mrs. is being renewed for a second season, so we'll get to hear about that, because not only are we going to hear about it for the next few weeks while it's still on, we'll then have to hear about the production of the new season, and then when the new season airs. So I will say it now, I'm sick of hearing about that show.
Yeah. Even if it is awesome. And they do their the horrible little kiss they do as well. Oh,
I'm sick of hearing about Miz and Mrs. I can go a few weeks without hearing about it, to be honest.
Well, it's because also, like, the stuff they plug as well. What was the thing he was saying about, like, CPR? And he said Daniel Bryan will need CPR to revive his... So you can watch Miz and Mrs. tonight where I'm learning CPR. It's like, who cares? Why?
Yeah, that was the other thing. Miz said this in the video. It's like, goes, I'm a reality TV star. That's what Daniel Bryan wants. I was like, mate, he's also a reality TV star. He's got 2 shows.
Yeah, and he really doesn't seem bothered.
He's really not asked about it. Backstage, Charlotte and Becky were sort of like celebrating their win with some water. And Becky said that she did it all by herself. She didn't really... Charlotte said, you didn't really need to do that all by yourself. And Becky was like, well, I didn't really realise. I just sort of did it.
Yeah.
So that was a really, really good line.
Little
tea thing. And they say that on Sunday, the best woman will win. And Becky said that she will. So, very interesting whether they are going to do a heel turn. But it's weird as well, because it feels like there's 3 matches at the moment going into SummerSlam that have got these heel turn talks. Because you've got this match here. Is it going to be Charlotte? Is it going to be Becky? You've got Dean Ambrose now in the Seth Rollins match. Is he going to turn heel there? And you've got the Paul Heyman talk within the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match. Is he going to turn and side with? And you can't really do Turner Mania. Like you really should only pick one of those and do that.
Turner Slam,
exactly. So I think with the 3 possibilities of teasers or teasers being turned, which one they'll go with, if any, really. They might not go with any of them.
Yeah, I don't feel like Becky necessarily needs it. Like you can have her because it works as a story both ways. Like she either overcomes the fact that her best mate's in this match and wins anyway, loses, and then it just builds to a match between the 2 of them down the line, and you don't have to have a heel in that sense.
You do not.
Charlotte could be the heel in this regard as well. Yes, I don't think it necessarily, like, Becky has proved herself more than capable of dealing with 2 other people now.
Yes.
So maybe she just will without having to cheat or turn heel on Charlotte. Yeah. Like, how often do WWE tease women's heel turns? Like, how long was Sasha and Bayley going on for?
Don't even get me
started. But now they're just best friends
now, aren't they?
They've got matching jackets.
I do like those matching jackets,
though.
The Bludgeon
Sweet
Brothers...
jackets, man.
The Bludgeon Brothers took on the Triple Threats.
Dun, dun, dun. The most wrestling of wrestling names.
They were. So they were 3 enhancement talents from the local area. From I can't remember where they were.
They were just 3 dudes.
3 dudes. One of them had the Motorhead logo on his singlet, though, which I thought was funny. And the Bludgeon Brothers essentially just beat them down. Actually, the match didn't even start. It was.
I thought that was so weird.
I thought it was really weird as well, because it was announced as a match.
Yeah.
But then Bludgeon Brothers just stopped beating them up.
And then it was because you see them come out and they're like, they call themselves the Triple Threat, and I was like, I smell a squash. And then the Bludgeons come out, and you're like, okay. And then they just there was some really cool beatdowns.
So awesome.
So there was Harper and Rowan. Rowan power slams one of them. Mm-hmm. No, sorry, Harper power slams one of them. Rowan then power slams one of them, and then they power slam one of the Bludgeon Brothers onto the top of the 2 of them.
It was such an awesome beatdown.
I love they had one guy laid on the apron, and they got the other guy up, and then just flung his head into the other guy's torso. I was like, what is that? That was awesome.
It's some really innovative stuff in here. I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it. But there is that weird moment of like, why didn't you just have them win?
Why did you? But they didn't need, because it didn't even need to be an actual pin. Like, how hard is it? Whoa. How long is a pin?
3 seconds.
3 seconds. So why didn't they just, when they'd done their big move in the middle, just put a foot on the guy?
Yeah.
And then
just, yeah.
1, 2, 3, and you can play the music.
Exactly, yeah. Or stack all three of them up
Yeah.
and put your foot onto all three
Yeah,
of
because
them.
there is literally no point
Yeah.
in just going, well, that's a no contest.
Exactly, yeah. Because in reality, Triple Threat they've got a record now in WWE.
Yeah. It took longer to explain the fact that it wasn't a match than it would have to just have finished the match.
Yeah.
And then play the music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it was a fun beatdown regardless.
It was very fun.
We got that first Miz and Daniel Bryan video, and then we got the second half of that SummerSlam match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships,
SummerSlam.
where the New Day with birthday boy Kofi Kingston were taking on
A little sign.
Yeah, we're taking on Sanity and Killian Dane's new ring gear.
Yeah, that's what I just. All I've written. Killian Dane has a nice singlet. It covers up that hair.
Yeah, I've written Killian Dane has new gear. It's rubbish.
It is rubbish.
It doesn't really work for him.
It makes him look like a big baby.
It makes him look like a wrestler. And I thought the whole point of Sanity is that they didn't really look like wrestlers. They just looked like these chaotic madmen.
Well, I think the idea was he was told to wear that because
he's so hairy and gross.
Damn hairy.
Yeah, it's definitely a Vince thing of just like, you look disgusting and gross.
Yeah.
I feel
But
like
they could have just built it out of his gear already. He could have just carried on wearing the belt thing and then just built out the top half.
Exactly,
I don't know why it had to be a complete change, wear a singlet.
Yeah. It's the same reason why Baron Corbin wrestles in a shirt now.
Yeah.
I think Vince just said, like, I don't like looking at your body.
Yeah.
Now, please wear a shirt. Because when he came up to the main roster, he was wearing a vest because clearly he'd been told your body is not good enough to be on camera. Wear a vest.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few. Dean Ambrose, when he first debuted and he was wrestling in the Shield, there was always these stories. Apparently, they used to try and like rip off his jacket to expose his body because Vince thought his body was rubbish. And it was almost like a little bit of a hazing thing for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was always the reports that came out about it.
Well, not anymore,
Not anymore,
Vince.
mate. Absolutely not anymore, because he has had some cod liver oil. Crowd lovingly start chanting happy birthday to Kobe, which was really
nice.
sweet. This match was SummerSlam promos and ad breaks.
Yeah, it
But
was terrible.
by the time that stuff was done, it actually turned into a really decent little match. There was Killian Dane was sort of running wild, and then Woods made this awesome comeback, and he hit a really cool move, and then Eric Young broke that up with an elbow drop.
Yeah, there's always like, I think they always do a lot of really cool stuff. The New Day, whenever they're in the ring, there was a good bit where Kofi leapfrogged Big E into a splash that looked brutal because he didn't quite go far enough, so he just landed full on Eric Young, who just like. Eric Young was like Loki in the first Avengers film, just that was really good. And then there was the huge SummerSlam advert. Funnily enough, all the SummerSlam adverts were promoting Raw matches.
Well, the two big matches on the show are Rousey Bliss and Lesnar Roman.
But I don't think they would. But they obviously wouldn't. That wouldn't happen to promote them. If they were SmackDown matches, they wouldn't go, let's cut out of this match to promote a match that we're already having.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, SmackDown and Raw are supposed to be competing brands.
Yeah,
they're not supposed to be promoting each other, but, it's the best of both brands
really
now.
dumb.
My favourite spot of this match, actually, though, was you had Woods. Wolf was on the floor after they did this elbow drop spot, so he'd take the move. And then Eric Young gets up Xavier Woods to do a Death Valley driver. And Alexander Wolf puts his knees up. So they did this Death Valley driver into the knees. It was such a cool spot. That was wicked.
There was also a crazy blockbuster thing that Wolf did, where Dane had Kofi. This was in the beatdown, and I think in the break, Dane had Kofi like in sort of, I guess, a Uranagi sort of position, and then Wolf flips off the top. And I've written here also that Kofi was just getting the birthday bumps while he was waiting for the hot tag.
It's very nice. But New Day impressively hit the up, down, down on Killian Dane. So Big E hoisted him up on his shoulders. Nice of them to use Dane because that puts over the idea that they're facing these bigger guys at SummerSlam, which I thought was a nice touch.
Well, they got a big pop for that as well. As soon as Big E lifted him, there was a moment where everyone stopped for a bit and was like, "Whoa,
that's crazy!"
And like even Xavier Woods on the turnbuckle was like, fair.
Cool. Yeah, sweet. Nice work.
Yeah.
I thought it was a nice little touch. It sucks that Sanity lose again, but at the same time, New Day are the ones that are going for the belt at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe after SummerSlam, Nikki Cross gets called up, and that's the injection that Sanity needs. in order to get somewhere.
Yeah,
But whether
I
they
just
are
don't
going to
think
call
it
Nikki
will be.
Cross up, like that's the question: is are they going to bother calling Nikki up?
I think they will, because NXT is about to get a big injection of women's talent
aren't they just?
from the Mae Young Classic. So, yeah.
Because I mean, Nikki was only kept there because they lost a massive amount of female talent they had in NXT, like Iconics and Riot Squad and all these other people, because they had to do the Royal Rumble. So Nikki Cross had to stay there because they were like, well, now we've got no other women. So they had to. There was actually to rebuild that division up from scratch. But as you say, they've now got a big influx coming in from the Mae Young Classic that should help them. And Nikki Cross has been working SmackDown live events.
Yes.
So, I mean, she was on Raw. She was on Raw a couple of weeks ago when they announced the Evolution thing.
yeah.
And you could tell she was there because she was at the front because she's like 3'10". They're like, put the small ones at the front.
Yeah.
So, because they won't be able to see otherwise.
She's going,
Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. Playing into a kind of, brilliant. So I think I assume she'll get called up soon, but whether they do it after SummerSlam. They usually do NXT call-ups after SummerSlam, so we'll see there. Backstage, Paige walks up to Samoa Joe's locker room and she knocks on the door. It was announced earlier in the night that AJ is going to be doing a promo later on addressing the SummerSlam match. And she was there to essentially say, don't go out because I need to protect my SummerSlam main event. And I
like the fact she said she asked him to go out and speak. He refused. I asked you to go out and speak, and you refused. And Joe just goes, "I'm shy."
Yeah, it's very. Yeah, it's like I don't want to do a promo. I'm shy. It was very good. I really liked that. But he said that she asked him not to go out for AJ's promo, and he says that he'd do what he damn well pleases.
Yeah, he said, "You like me because of my killer instinct, because I'm unpredictable."
Yeah.
Which makes him quite predictable, because then you know he's going to go out during AJ's promo.
Yeah, well, to be honest, what he did in that promo, I would not have predicted.
No.
In all fairness to him, I did not see this coming.
No.
So,
True.
Maybe he was right. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to see what destructive thing he does. But
because also he's like, I'll do whatever I please, and everyone else will have to deal with the consequences. Think about the consequences when we talk about it later on of what could possibly be the consequences of what he actually did.
I mean, this is a lot of setup. I hope there's some payoff later on. We'll get to it. Aiden English sang a song, an apology song, about hurting Lana and Rusev for the last couple of weeks, where he's cost Lana her match with Zelina Vega, and he's kind of like, he didn't help Rusev when he was fighting Almas and things like that. So he sung this song, and he wanted to challenge Almas to a match to kind of like fight for the honor of Rusev Day, which didn't really go well for him because Andrade won.
Yeah,
I mean,
very easily.
Very
and
easily.
cleanly.
This started in the ad break, and then Andrade won. Those are basically my two notes I have on this.
There was a cool bit where Andrade flung Aiden into the turnbuckles upside down. That looked cool, and and then he hit all of his good moves. Yeah, and you're like, cool.
His back elbow's very cool.
I love the back elbow.
It's wicked.
The back elbow into the knees, into the hammerlock, and then 1, 2, 3, it was done. The only thing I liked about this, I liked the song. It was all right. I like the fact that Aiden English also really sold looking a bit heartbroken and dishevelled, and like he was troubled by this whole thing, and actually trying to make it up to them. Like he did that really well. However, the implosion of Rusev Day and hopefully the eventual feud between Aiden English and Rusev, I'm not bothered about,
No, I would certainly agree with that. But I mean, I said this in the SmackDown review, but it's had more build than AJ Joe. Like, this has actually had a storyline. So, I mean, maybe we're getting a storyline now with AJ and Joe, but we'll get to that. We got the second part of, the final part, rather, of Bryan's return.
At the end of that match, though,
Rusev they cut promos.
Yes,
they cut promos, and Lana sort of had an accent, and then sort of didn't.
Yeah, I've written that. She said, like Lana Day or whatever in the sort of
she was like, we will crush you. And she was like,
crush you at SummerSlam.
And it will be Lana Day.
Yeah. Just forgot halfway through.
Yeah. Bless her heart. I don't think she knows, because she has not really been doing the accent. But she still has a T-shirt with the Russian logo, the Russian flag on it. So this is Russian logo.
Yeah. And she's the Russian logo.
Yeah, that's what flags are, really. It's just logos for countries. And then
we get a little Adidas jacket with the stripes.
And then we got our final match of the evening, which was Jeff Hardy versus Shelton Benjamin, of all people, who didn't get an entrance because this match once again started in the ad break. And then as soon as it got back from the ad break, they were like, SummerSlam promo. But like the six-man, this did get good by the end, and Hardy won with a twist of fate. It was funny because he hit the twist of fate and then did this big old dive into the pin that almost looked like he'd done a splash.
And they said, and then a splash. And it was like, oh, okay.
I think he was just diving for the pin.
I don't get what Jeff Hardy's up to at the moment. Like, I don't like the whole spooky thing with the face paint. Like, so the promo at the beginning was sort of like before we came out for the match and before we got there, because then we actually the ad break replayed the Popeyes food fight with the who threw the pie at Kevin Owens.
Who did?
We still don't know. But Jeff Hardy like did the eye thing where it's like you're looking into his eyes, but they're really badly painted on. First of all, and then he opens his eyes up, and then he just went. And it reminded me. Have you seen 30 Days of Night?
Yes, many years ago. I'll tell you what, I've only seen it in the pictures. I haven't seen it since.
Yeah, it's a terrible vampire film.
That's unfair. I thought it was alright.
It was a terrible vampire film. So there's a whole bit, and there's one scene in it where they're in this house, and the vampires are hunting them by smell, and this vampire just is walking through this house, just going. And it's the least threatening thing I've ever seen until Jeff Hardy reminded me of it this week.
Amazing. So Jeff won with the twist of fate, and then Nakamura came out because they've got a match at SummerSlam. And Benjamin sort of caused a distraction, which allowed Nakamura to get an early attack in. But as he set up for the Kinshasa, he ran into a twist of fate and a swanton. But who was watching from the back? Creepily behind a curtain was Randall K. Orton. And
he was hiding from the police.
And it really did. Well, I mean, alleged stories.
Allegedly coming after him for a decent exposure.
Yeah, we got the story of this on Monday if you want to go check that out. So I think Randy being here and them still setting up this Jeff Hardy match tells you everything you need to know about how seriously WWE are treating those allegations.
Oh, yeah. They do not
care. Because he was just on TV this week and everything is just like, they're just going to sweep that under the rug.
Well, unfortunately, it's one of those things where
no one has made a complaint.
Yeah, no one's made a complaint. I guess he exposed himself, potentially exposed him, or allegedly exposed himself to somebody. However, it's not assault in that regard. So it's probably, and also like, if no one's made an actual formal complaint, you can just go, So it should tell you everything you need to know about WWE looking into this, that Randy was here doing his best impression of John Lovitz from The Wedding Singer, where he's like, he is losing his mind, and I am reaping the benefits. But the main event of this show was what we've been teasing all this show, really. It was AJ Styles coming out to cut a promo, and as soon as, they announced this earlier in the night, but I've been very down on the build for AJ Joe. Since, because the start of Joe laid him out with the clutch and then he signed the contract. And I'm like, that's badass. That's really cool. And then Joe followed that up by cutting a promo. And then AJ followed that up by cutting a promo. Yeah. And then they were going to end this with AJ cutting a promo. And I was like, come on, lads. But this is not difficult to get wrong. Well, that's the thing, is that the intro to it, brilliant. However, I think you said as well that it should have been Joe wasn't scheduled for the match.
No.
It would have been better if he just come out and just took it.
Signed the contract, and that's why he's unpredictable.
Like, here you go, got a contract now. And then I thought his promo was amazing. Like,
it was a great promo.
He cut on AJ was
so
great.
Good.
However, it would have been good to see AJ come out with a bit more fire to that.
Yes.
Because, like AJ came out again this week and was saying, that got me really worked up and I went to a really dark place. And then my wife, Wendy, said...
Make sure you drop the name.
Yeah, make sure you drop the name Wendy. Wendy said, you need to calm down, you need to keep your head...
you need to keep your head cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I thought was really weird, because he says there, he goes, since Joe's attack and Joe's promo, and he obviously showed clips of it to make sure it's all staged, he said that I've been losing my cool. And I thought, have you?
Yeah.
Because I've not seen that.
He's not been losing his cool, and he's also, while he's giving out this speech and getting a bit worked up, pausing for video packages.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. He's like, I need to show you on the video package in case you've missed the last 2 weeks. Here's what's happened, which I've never liked anyway. I genuinely thought he was going to throw to a video package of him cutting a promo.
Well, they should have just done the video package at the beginning.
Yes.
Like, let's recap this really quickly.
Absolutely.
And then AJ can come down and just say his piece. And that's fine.
Bloody exactly. Could not agree with you more. But anyway, so he's cutting this promo. It's not particularly great. It's not great content. It's not AJ's fault. It's not great content. It's like the promo last week.
Yeah.
AJ's he's a good promo. It's just not been given good content. And Joe comes out. Now, Joe is an awesome promo. I was like, oh, this would be cool. We can have a war of words instead, and then we can build up to a big old like showdown and a confrontation. But oh no, Joe has a letter. Joe has a letter which he is going to read, and it's a letter from a fan. And the way he reads it, it's very funny the way he's reading it. But he said, the letter from the fan who said that the things that Joe said in his promo 2 weeks ago are true, as that AJ wants to remain WWE champion so he doesn't have to go home to his wife and kids.
He never wanted children.
Never wanted
or
a wife. But the alleged person who wrote this letter is the biggest AJ Styles fan in the world. So they're saying all of these things like, yeah, you're right. I want you to win the WWE championship. And it ends with, from AJ's biggest fan, Wendy Styles.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the crowd are all like, his wife wrote the letter. And I went, oh, I'm getting Claire Lynch vibes from all of this. Oh no, I don't want this to turn into Claire Lynch.
And then it just stopped.
Ended it.
That was the end.
That was it. And I saw that was your SummerSlam go home angle.
Yeah.
That is supposed to make you go like, man, I cannot wait to see them fight at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Like, this was rubbish. That's my last note, is it? Well, that was effing rubbish. It was absolutely awful.
I can't wait to see the strongly worded reply. What's
Joe's plan? AJ's going to go home. Like, do you write a letter? No. Cool. Right, well, move on with the rest of my day then. Because clearly Wendy didn't write that letter. It's Joe playing mind games. But those mind games don't work.
No.
Unless Wendy Styles is being introduced as a character, in which case we are stepping into Claire Lynch territory. And that's a bad sign. AJ has a track record with these sorts of things.
I don't know. It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the match actually has the potential to still be, irregardless of this, brilliant.
Yeah. It's a 6-hour show. If this match is given time, it will be very, very good.
Yeah. However, if this is just a filler, this was obviously someone just going, well, we just need something for AJ to do. We need something for Joe to do.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a feud.
And can you imagine that's the way you looked at AJ versus Samoa Joe? You were like, well, we need the guys to do something.
We did it completely in the wrong order. Like, you started with the coolest thing, then you had the second week where it was still pretty hot, but like you could have started with Joe cutting a promo, then built to the bit where he gets himself signing a contract or whatever. Like,
it's just outstanding that this company has got AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, arguably the second biggest show of the year if you don't look at the Royal Rumble. And this is the program. It's a soap opera storyline.
Yeah.
How do you do this?
Yeah. Look what Joe did with Brock.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Joe got a Brock Lesnar match, the hottest thing
in the company
that was going to happen.
And that was supposed to be a filler feud.
Yeah.
But Joe got so over during that because he's so good that he ended up getting put into the SummerSlam 4-way last year. Unreal. But, I sound like I'm being down. I did actually, in total, really enjoy this show. And I gave it a core rating. Ollie Davis told me he would have given it a low smack bang in the middle, which is a 2.5 out of 5.
I think that for me that was probably that was about right. Maybe even slightly lower. I just thought I thought there was. I find it weird that SmackDown now has about 4 matches on it, which is about as much as you get on NXT, and that is 1 hour shorter.
Yep.
So and like you could just do matches that ran longer and told more of the story through people doing the things that they do, which is wrestling, rather than having people have to explain every single thing that's going on. Useless letters. Jeff Hardy go for no reason, and then playing a load of clips promoting matches from Raw.
I said this in the review, but I thought my score was generous. Like last week, I gave it 3.5 out of 5, which I thought was a decent score. I probably should have given this the same, really, but I did very much enjoy the ending of the Becky Lynch match. I loved all the Daniel Bryan Miz matches because that actively got me excited for a match. That's good.
Yeah,
and the finish of the Becky match got me intrigued and excited for their match, despite the fact that Carmella's in it, and I think it's going to be a bit pants. And I thought that the tag team stuff was pretty good as well. Like, despite the fact that the matches were hampered by the ad breaks and by the bloody SummerSlam promos, they did really pick up after that. And I did enjoy them. The 3 or 4 minutes they actually did get to wrestle, I thought were good.
Once again, though, when the wrestlers wrestle, the wrestling show is good.
Yeah, it really
but the bits, it's the production of it is just. Oh,
so you'd have gone.
Makes me cross.
So you'd have gone with a 2 out of 5, an Ellsworthy.
I think I would have gone with an Ellsworthy.
An Ellsworthy.
It's just I just cannot bear watching promo after promo are just weird, don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
The Miz and Daniel Bryan stuff was great, but it was also so much of the show and could have been any of the other weeks.
Yeah.
We could have just seen it before.
Absolutely.
I just thought it hung together so weirdly, this show.
Yeah.
But all the wrestling was pretty top quality, actually.
I said this, I think, on last week's show and the week previous to that, because the week previous to that was promo heavy. Like, there was only 3 matches in the 2 hours, and all of those had like the ad break nonsense as well. It was so promo heavy and in-ring heavy. And then
They should name it Talking Smack.
Hey, and then last week was a slightly better balance of it. And then this week, and you had all the Daniel Bryan Miz stuff, which took up probably about a third of the show, was these video packages. You could have just spread all of that out. If you'd have laid out, this is our 4-week plan, and then just spread out the bits that you were doing with wrestling matches, longer wrestling matches, without the ad breaks and stuff, it would have been a much, much stronger build towards SummerSlam. Because all the individual components are very good, but they were all coming very odd, with the exception of the letter, and they've all come in very odd points, and the baby throwing. There's a lot of stuff, actually, I didn't like. But,
Funnily enough,
I think there was a lot, if you'd have peppered stuff throughout, it might have been better.
I think it's just because they're just desperately looking for different ways of doing stuff that isn't just the classic wrestling stuff, and it's all got to be like, let's have a launch party, he's on set here, let's do this, but they don't do it outside of their own little world of just like, well, we just have to do it in the arena, or it's just like, go somewhere else and film something, throw some money at something else. Like, how much money must you make from just the people present at an episode of SmackDown?
Yes. But anyway, let's wrap this up. That is all we've got time for today. Click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk news or WrestleRamble episode. And click this little button up here that will subscribe you to the Apple Podcast version of this, which has got its own exclusive intros and outros that you are going to be a part of. This week should be very exciting.
Whoa.
And obviously it's available on other podcast platforms. I have been Luke Owen. This has been El Fakador Laurie Blake. And that was Rambling.